A thread by Carlos Osuida. Uh-oh, looks like that silent majority is gigantic. Do you think these people are afraid to express their opposition to Donald Trump? Please. This is your proof of Trump landslide 2020. From Breitbart poll, nearly 2/3 of Americans fear sharing their political views. This is just one poll, but we know it's real. That's because you are experiencing this. About 2/3 of Americans are afraid to share their political opinions. Guess what that means? They're voting for Trump. The breakdown is fascinating. Half of Democrats are afraid to share their political views. They're voting for Trump. Even 40% of staunch liberals are afraid to share their political views. They're voting for Trump. Quote, more people among all political groups feel they are walking on eggshells. Why would that be? Ask Dr. Karlin Borisenko. Was she chased down the street by Trump supporters, or was she welcomed and then left alone to observe? We're watching radical leftists hold entire cities hostage. They get you fired. They come to your house. They film you to let you know that they know your daily routine. So who does the gigantic silent majority support? Trump has tricked the Democrats and their lackeys into supporting lawlessness, violence, church burnings, and outrageously extremist positions that not even staunch liberals support. The Democratic strategy is completely insane. They've unleashed the Sturmabteilung and claim that it's Trump's fault. Are BLM and Antifa conservative activists? How will electing Democrats make BLM and Antifa stop destroying everything? Therefore, more than 2/3 of the country is going to vote for Trump. Trump got 307 electoral votes, even though he lost the popular vote. How many electoral votes will he get with more than 2/3 of the popular vote? Half of Democrats will vote for him. If the Democrats had been sane and respectful, they may have stood a chance. But they doomed themselves from the beginning. One of the things Trump figured out was that it was time for an outsider to run. I wasn't even going to vote anymore. The GOP can thank Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan for me finally giving up on politics. I was getting fundraising calls in which they were actually saying, vote for us because we're not as bad as the Democrats. No. Romney and Ryan were the last straw. Romney and Ryan showed me that there was a bipartisan ruling class, a uniparty that reamed us unmercifully. So I was done. Trump convinced me to vote not as a protest. I voted for him because I researched him and knew that he'd be our best president. Someone asked me yesterday if there was anything I'd criticized Trump before. You seem to find no fault in him, the person said. That's because I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. I take nothing at face value. So no, there's nothing for which I'd criticize Trump. In the Battle of Mosul, the Iraqis' allies sent in commandos who looked and acted as though they were mentally disabled. In a video, a young man was watching a crowd like a hawk. He had buck teeth and a receding chin. When he saw that he was being filmed, he broke into a goofy grin and waved at the camera like Forrest Gump, his wrist all floppy and childlike. The Iraqis sent in elderly commandos. This guy has only one eye. They used men trained to pass as Americans. This guy spoke perfect Alabaman English, and then suddenly he revealed himself to be an Arab. I can't criticize Trump because I don't know what he's doing. I can reverse engineer the broad strokes, but I know for a fact that every single thing he does and says is calculated. He has perfect self-awareness. I now have doubts about his previous life. How much was real? How much was non-official cover? I have no idea now. But it doesn't matter. When you trust someone, you don't interrogate them. I once met a man I knew was GIGN, Groupe d'Intervention de la Gendarmerie Nationale, French police commandos who operate internationally. A video from the Flight 8969 hijacking. Here's an extremely accurate reconstruction of that raid. A sniper killed one of the terrorists, which National Geographic didn't know. Elite French commando force. The man I met was incredibly fit, had penetrating blue eyes, and approached me on a ferry. He was part of a four-man team, and when he saw that I saw the rest of the team, he gauged my reactions. I stayed calm, and after the team finished, the man called me Jeff, and I talked. Jeff and I spoke for 17 hours straight. It was the best conversation I ever had. Since I knew who he was and he knew that I knew, there was no need to talk about it. Instead, we talked about literally every subject under the sun. He did ask me about myself, but I never asked him about himself. He liked that. We took the train into the city, and when I got off, he gave me his name and address in Paris. Was it real? Probably not. But I'm sure he would have known if I had tried to contact him. The reason I didn't try to contact him was that we'd had our time together and it was magical. We talked about things that nobody else was interested in, such as medieval recipes and horseshoe crabs and Alberto Santos Dumont. I didn't need anything from Jeff, and I don't need explanations from Trump. I hired him to do his job, and I'm not going to micromanage him. Besides, he's much smarter than me. 2/3 of the country is afraid to share its political viewpoints. Why? Because all those people are going to vote for Trump. Watch it happen.